So, as I was saying, the session today is about doing energy trading with Databricks, AI, and agents in general. And it's about helping traders and practitioners, especially in the energy markets industry, who build solutions for the traders to build better solutions for trading. So, just a quick recap, we'll talk about the energy markets and energy trading industry in general. We'll see what the current situation is and what are the impacts specifically around regulations, about the technological advancements, how are they impacting the energy industry. Some of the things around agentic AI in general, you might have been hearing about it a lot. How do they influence? How do they kind of help you to make better trading solutions? So that's the idea. And then a reference architecture on Databricks, essentially like how would you use different Databricks capabilities to build these real-time solutions, both for analytics and AI agents in general. And then a short demo, essentially on Databricks, and then we'll follow up with a Q&A session towards the end. So to let you know, if you look at like the energy trading, energy markets in general, this session caters to both the persona. So energy markets in general is about building platforms and systems to buy and sell energy, commodities, and essentially the trading side of is how do you enable the traders to make better decisions, right? And manage the risk in general. So if you look at the industry landscape in general, we see like a lot of kind of transitions in energy space, wherein I think beyond the classic coal, oil in general, you also see the healthy mix of renewables, right? And renewables, essentially, you would know they are not easy to predict and they have a lot of dependency, especially on the weather side of it, and new business models which are coming in around, say, for example, V2G. So that's like one part of it. The other side is market complexity. A lot of trading decisions in the energy trading space are influenced by economic events, by news, and how do you manage the volatility in general. Regulatory is also another area. So if you look at like a lot of the space is regulated in general as well, and how do you manage the compliance and regulatory things in general on the platform so that you are complying with the regulatory guidelines in general. So if you look at like a lot of changes are happening within the industry, and while one side of it is the focus areas to like build better solutions, there are so many challenges around green energy, market volatility, which influence and kind of make the entire thing more complex. And if you look at like the way things are, if you kind of rely on manual methods, so a lot of things we see are essentially for a lot of systems are fragmented. Like you have one system for real-time insights, another for batch, and the data is fragmented across different systems. And quite a bit of it is still manual. So if you are still using manual methods and technologies to kind of drive better insights, obviously you are falling behind people who are actually automating and using advanced analytics. So that's something to be taken care of. Like I said, like market volatility and complexity is an important aspect of it. You see, we hear it a lot about AI in general, and when it comes to AI inferencing and training computing needs, a lot of data centers will be created all over the world, and which means more energy. So the consumption of is going up with- along with the market volatility. To how do you manage all these? So that's a critical part. Asset optimization. So one of the key KPIs of a trader is essentially to make best use of their assets. And with the evolving regulatory space, regulations, evolving business models, how do you essentially capture all these insights and make the best use of the assets, whether how much to buy, how much to sell, how to hedge? So all these are like critical part of the KPI of an energy trader. Uh, Regulation and compliance, like we discussed, it's like the space is regulated, so keeping aligned with the regulatory guidelines, complying to those is an important part. And new business models. So, for example, if you know, like BMW launched their new Neue Klasse platform, and one of the key things about the vehicle are about V2G, vehicle to grid. So the car essentially becomes a car for storage, and it can charge the grid back. It can send energy back to the grid, and people can kind of make money out of it. So new business models are evolving. And how do you capture the insights, new business models, to essentially kind of have a balanced trade? So that's the key. So like I was saying, like the agent space and the AI space in general has evolved over the last couple of months and years, essentially since ChatGPT came out like a few years ago. And one of the things which has drastically changed the landscape is now, at least in the AI, if you see the Gen AI, the large language model in general, they can think and reason like human beings. So I think initially when we started, the whole space started, it was all about having a prompt and having a question to it. Now we have moved to the analysis part. So you can have data, you can have insights from different systems, different processes, and you can feed it to an AI agent or the large language models, and they can analyze the results. They can give you insights of why things are going wrong or why. So the reasoning part of it, right? So that's one of the, I would say, important aspect which has changed the whole equation. So if you look at AI agents in general, we are moving towards agents, obviously with the human in loop, right? And essentially the idea is to use more of the automation capabilities around decision making and basically assisting the trading trader essentially to help make better decisions. Real-time adaptability. So as the insights change in the market, as more and more data comes in, while the humans have been doing it till now, with the integration of AI agents into the trading system, it helps the humans or the traders to make better decisions. They can, so the large language models or the agents can come up with better reasoning and insights, which then they can assist the trader to help make better trades. Analytics is again, so while the traditional classic machine learning models are used for predictive and prescriptive analytics, the large language models or the agents can actually come up with better reasoning, essentially, and that's an integral part. And one of the key differentiators, I would say, is while I mean the class or I mean the more traditional way you can say is around having apps like different dashboard widgets consuming all that information in place. The AI agents are much more flexible that you can use prompts to interact with them. So using natural language queries and getting the insight. So they're much more flexible in general, and they can actually they are useful for ad hoc analysis or for in certain situations where you don't have an app, you have an agent, so you can get an answer to it. So they close the gap for the apps in general. And multi-agent collaboration, which is important. So and we'll see an example of it later in this session. uh, Agent to agent integration or a communication, right? So just like one trader kind of working, getting insights from other trader, and then kind of improving their skills and knowledge, and then making insights and decisions. The same way agents would collaborate with each other to come up with better insights. So that's also a trend which we see evolving in the industry. So the whole idea is about establishing your edge, and you guys would know already, like edge in trading is essentially about how do you make better decisions. So you have the information, how quickly you can get the information, how quickly you can gather insights and take an action. So it's all about like having an edge in trading. So if you look at like as energy market industry, as an energy trader, you will be kind of getting insights, getting different information from different systems. So this could start with like asset inspection data or maintenance data, and also like market feeds, so getting real-time price insights, like market signals for your futures, options, and commodity contracts, and also the regulatory compliance, which is kind of an important aspect for the energy trading industry, and grid data. So there are different sources of data, different time frames. So some of the things, for example, if you look at like market stream data, this could be ingested like at a sub millisecond level, like less than a 1 second latency, because like every tick is important. News impacting the market insight is very quick. I mean, you would see like price influence in matter of seconds. And on the other side, if you see, for example, grid data, you might need it like for every like 15 minutes, right? So there are different frequencies of data ingestion that you might need. And it's always a mix. Like it's a mix of structured, like tabular data. It could be unstructured, like PDF files, especially around the regulatory space, or it could be a mix, like semi-structured, like JSON files from your grid. So different data formats, different ingestion frequencies. And if you see how this would look like on Databricks, so essentially uh, on Databricks, you would have the unified storage, which is Delta and Iceberg. So we support native Iceberg as well now on Databricks from this year. And one of the benefits of Databricks is essentially all the data from different sources is governed with Unity Catalog, which is like a unified storage layer and governance layer for all your assets. So be it your asset data or your grid data or your market insights, depending on who needs access to what data sources, you can govern it through Unity Catalog. So that's like the foundation for you. And Lakeflow essentially is the unified ETL suite of solutions. So batch streaming, especially if you're looking at like ingesting low latency data, like sub-millisecond latency data, that's where Lakeflow, Apache Spark structured streaming would be of help. So it doesn't matter like low frequency, high frequency data you can ingest with Lakeflow. You can do the transformation and have the data ready as part of your medallion architecture like bronze, silver, and gold that you can further use either for real-time insights or for agents or analytics dashboards in general. So then comes Lakebase. So Lakebase is an OLTP offering which is based on open source Postgres. And this can serve very low latency data, like less than 10 milliseconds latency. So think about having ingested data from markets, real-time data, and then using the Lakebase to kind of serve this data for your analytics application or your agent. So Lakebase would do the serving of the data part, very low latency. So you can build transactional applications, you can build AI agents on top of it. Then comes the DB SQL warehouse. So this is the backbone. So when you want to kind of build these analytics dashboard in general, or have reports, or say even conversational AI. So Genie is the conversational AI for data from Databricks. So the warehouse serves these data sets through its scalable compute, which is like primarily serverless now essentially. And then the AI BI part. So AI BI is essentially the AI driven business analytics. And we have the dashboards, which are like you can create widgets and they're all natively integrated with Databricks. So while you can use third party apps, so you have dashboards available as part of AI BI with us. And of course, Genie is part of AI BI. So you can converse like with your data, structured data using natural language. Then Mosaic. So Mosaic is our offering for all the things about AI. So be it your prediction model, forecasting model, all the classic machine learning with ML ops, and also AI agents. And we'll see more of it in the demos further. So the anything to do with AI will fall under Mosaic AI. And then the apps. So while you kind of use the foundation layer around ingesting the data, serving it with Lakebase, building dashboards. The app layer essentially will be the solutions that you would build for the energy traders, essentially. So all the dashboards, widgets, wherein they can consume the information, they can get the insights, and then make final trades on top of it. So what can you do? Like you have all this data now. So if you look at like, for example, you could look at Databricks as a solution for your market analysis and intelligence, wherein it can give you real-time insights on the market data, power and commodities. It can also give you like trends, like which commodities are getting influenced, which are like highly volatile commodities like oil, gas, or maybe the future contracts. It can give a light market feed and also a trend comparison. So you would know how the news, for example, or the economic indicators are influencing the price of the commodity. So that will be your basis to kind of maybe come up with some trading decisions for the day ahead trade, for example. So the market analysis and intelligence is like one part of it. Then could be forecasting and prediction. So, like I said, like especially in terms of the renewable space, like sun and wind, weather plays a very critical role. You would know already, and it's a healthy mix. So, for example, in Germany, we have this. I think we are close to 65% of renewables, and the mandate is to be like 80% by 2030. And the biggest challenge is how do you ensure you have better insights into the future energy generations, which is a big challenge because weather influences that a lot. So having all this data around weather, making forecasting decisions of how much you can produce tomorrow or in the next few hours, which you can use to calculate shortfall or surplus and then basically manage your day ahead rate. So all these things are kind of, yeah, super critical. Then energy system management. So looking at how much you're producing, how much is the each of the source of generation. So coal, gas, nuclear, for example, sun and wind. So all these different sources are generating and giving you the visibility into any future operational or maintenance activities which will influence the say the next day ahead trades in general, and regulatory and compliance. So kind of having a tracking mechanism of how the landscape is evolving, how much specific areas, and whether you are complying with the regulations in general. So all that is kind of, yeah, you can do it with Databricks once you have the data sources. So let's kind of have a small demo. So, like I was saying, this is Unity Catalog. So essentially, the idea is, and one of the challenges is having like data spread across different sources. So with Unity Catalog, essentially what you're able to do is get all this data into your single source or a single unified governance layer. So you might have like weather data, hourly, you can have like electricity pricing, production data, forecasting. So everything is available and you can actually govern this with Unity Catalog. So that's where everything lands and then you can use it to build these solutions. That's one part of it. Now, let's talk about. So, one thing I think we mentioned about agents. So, let's one thing which I wanted to share. So, we released the agent for data science like a couple of weeks ago. And while AI agents are useful kind of doing the analysis, coming up with recommendations, we are also building the AI agent capabilities for practitioners to build these tools better. So what the AI assistant agent does is you can build the classic machine learning models, forecasting models, which typically takes like days, weeks, and months. You can actually cut down the time now in a matter of like few hours or weeks. So it's kind of an assistant or in agent mode, which enables data scientists, their practitioners to build these models very quickly. So let's start with a small demo. Let me kind of create a notebook and let's say we are building a forecasting model for price. So what do we do? We would open the agent and this is a planner and you would see here like we have the agent mode in Databricks. So let's say we are using, yeah, we are using the weather data and the pricing data to come up with the pricing recommendations for next day. So what the agent does is it analyzes the data sources for you. It would recommend you the data preparation strategies, feature engineering, and kind of all the recommendations. And the idea is to assist the data scientists to come build these models quickly. So one of the things, if you see here, I asked about like, give me some recommendations on model and which one is kind of the best one. So it creates a whole plan right from planning stage, building the training pipeline, evaluation set, splitting the data into test and build, and essentially creating the whole model and training it. So and it's an assistant. So you can converse with it using natural language. And let's say hourly data with all data for your training pipeline and let's use regression model. Yeah. So it generates the code. So what it does, it will look at the data source, it will generate the code, it will fix the code issues, and it will assist those. So rather than the data scientist kind of doing the unproductive jobs around fixing the code, getting the data from different sources, and writing the code. It does the heavy lifting of writing the code for the data scientist. Now, this is an assistant which works hand in hand with the data scientist. So it's not replacing data scientists, but helping them to build and train these models much faster. So you can see here, like it generated the code, it will do exploratory analysis, and it will train the model, it will show the results, it will show you the for example, if you use root mean square for comparison, it generates your output. So it's cutting down the time it takes to build and train this model from like days and months, days and weeks, to a matter of hours and days. So it's cutting it. Now, this would take a while, so I think I'll not run through the whole demo, but I'll show you another example. So this is the one I created, and you can see here, like the entire code in this notebook was generated by the agent. So this is the data preparation and the feature engineering part. It generated this code. It kind of picked up the important features here. And you can see here, this is the model training and evaluation. So it created the entire pipeline to build in the model. And it shows the visualization, like actual versus predicted. So it shows you like how the model is kind of behaving, and you can iterate and loop through it. And the feature importance from the random forest model, right? So which feature is kind of important. And it registers this model into unique catalog. So you can see like while the agent use of agents on the trading side is important aspect, it also helps you to like make these forecasting models very quickly. We did the same thing. So I think I created another model similarly for like forecasting the electricity for wind and solar based on like the weather predictions. So you can see here, like it generated. So you can actually use agents and Databricks to like build these solutions quickly. So you can see like a wind and solar forecast is come here. So that's one side of it. Now, so as we saw, going back here, so you ingest the data and different frequencies, you build kind of have the data ready for serving, and you all build all these solutions. So app layer would be the primary way of for you to build solutions and like expose it to the traders. So we have apps, I think we released apps like last year. So if you go to compute and I think going to apps here, the one I created for this demo. So let's open maybe, yeah. So while just to clarify, I think we don't offer the apps kind of these ready-made solution, but you would use Databricks as a foundation to kind of build this solution. Let's focus on market analysis. So if you look at now, uh, with subsequent latency ingestion, you can have these market insights onto Databricks. Like for example, we can see here, we have a live market feed, which is like getting the data from external sources. And you can see the sentiment like neutral, negative, or how are they actually impacting the energy prices. And this is a feed from the market. It shows you all the graphs, charts, basically how the news and other factors are impacting the price of commodities and electricity in general. And then also the top movers and trends. So basically the highly volatile commodity. So I think in the case of gas, you would see like it prices going down rapidly. So this is kind of a good way to kind of have a single unified pane of data sources for you to make insights. And we'll use this information in the next. So that's one part. So again, looking at whether like in renewables is a healthy mix in energy landscape. So having these kind of dashboards with energy data, with the weather data, and having giving you a view essentially. So for example, we can see like each critical city or the same major cities in a country, you can have like access to weather information and kind of overview or forecast for the next day, essentially how things are happening. And this would give you the prediction into the energy generation for the next few hours. So the forecasting models we saw here, the ones here, they actually would help the traders to know for the next few hours how much energy is maybe generated. Or so for example, if there is like cloudy weather or rain, so in that case, like there's no wind and the solar also goes down. So this gives you a good insight into like how the uh, energy production from these two sources would be influenced, and the extreme weather trend. So you have the market insights on one side and also the weather data, and that's two parts of it. The third part of it is energy production. So you would have different sources, you would have different plants spread across different locations, and you have different sources. So, for example, coal, natural gas, nuclear, having a unified overview of like which how much energy each of the sources is producing, and what's the generation efficiency, for example. So which is doing well, which maybe specific energy source is kind of not doing well, or maybe has some issues. So you can get another important aspect is having visibility into plant insight, like maintenance, right? So for example, if you want to make a day ahead trade, you would also need some insights into maintenance activities for the current day or the next few days, and you need to factor in these activities to come up with the right calculation of the volume of energy you want to buy and sell. So all this information is super handy, and you have all this information now, and you would actually then kind of do a forecasting, volume forecasting of net buy and sell for each day for the next couple of days, because now you have the current market data, you have access to the weather forecast, you have access to the production capacities, how much, including the consumption side of if you have consumption for tomorrow, maybe for example, say football match in the city, right? So the consumption might go up. So all these factors influence, and this would allow you to come up with the recommendation. So this, or having all this information, using the machine learning models to come up with the forecast of day ahead trades and then the future trades, right? That's where, and this would also be helpful to kind of say if you want to hedge your trades with say options, right? So how much you want to kind of hedge. So all this is like super useful for you to make. And the regulatory, if you see, like, so having access to the regulatory systems, all the documentation, all the systems to give you insights into where you stand in terms of regulation, and how do you do with, for example, if you can have these metrics in place to kind of say stay compliant, because that's an important aspect, and basically keeping track of basically being aligned with the regulatory industry in general, right? And just one example, so for example, a lot of policy documents are say PDF, for example, and the usual way is to like doing manual reviews, going through documents. One thing which is kind of now available with the large language models is to upload the document and extract key information or insights from those. So this is also one area which is like the Gen AI or the AI agents are super helpful. They would uh, read the whole document, give you important insights, and come up with a summary of insights which are ethical. So you don't really have to go through the whole document. You should, but I think it makes the entire process easier. So you have like the whole compliance thing that you watch. So that's like a couple of things that you could do with Databricks. Now coming to the agent part. So again, I think so that was analytics, that was machine learning, AI insights in general. What next? Like what beyond this? So as I was saying, like the AI agent space has evolved, and now we are looking at agents who can actually reason, who can actually come up with analysis and recommendations, right? And that's what we are kind of looking at. So if you look at, like, for example, um, creating a market analysis agent for energy trading. So, first of all, I think you have to think of agents as autonomous tasks or like automation systems who are good at one job. So, when you build a complex agent in general, you would have to kind of split and assign specific roles and personas. So, the way we would do it and recommend is to kind of have one agent who does energy production and forecasting. So, this agent has a very specific job. It will take the data sources around production, forecasting, weather, maintenance schedules, and it would kind of gather all these data sources, gather the insights, and come up with the recommendations of the net shortfall or surplus for the day ahead trade. So this agent has one specific task. Why we do it? Because if you look at like the agents or the large language models in general, they've been trained on internet data, like which is like general data, not tailored to specific tasks. So taking a large language model and then narrowing it down to a specific persona, specific task that it should do, and the data source it should connect. So that enables you to get high quality output. So that's why we kind of do all this kind of say having one agent for specific task. So this is one of the tasks, energy forecasting. So this agent has one thing to do. Then you could have a market data analysis agent. So this agent would like look into the market feed, look into the economic events, stream of news coming in, and analyzing and doing kind of how much impact of the news is or the economic events is on the pricing, and coming up with the recommendations for the day ahead trade. So that's one part. And the third is a generation strategy agent. So this agent would has only one task. So taking the data from the energy production and market insights, it would come up with the recommendations. So like how much volume, how much energy volume we should trade in a specific day, hedging strategies with futures and options. So all that would be the task of this specific agent. And while each agent would have a specific task to do, there will be a supervisor agent or a top level agent which controls and directs the outputs of one agent to another. So this basically is a, you can say, a supervisor which kind of gives each of the agent a specific task. They perform the task, give the result back to the agent, and then it does the analysis and kind of come up with. So these are kind of a complex agent scenario you could look at to kind of build this kind of a trading. And because we're not talking about fully automated trades, because trading is a high risk activity, so the idea is to provide the energy trader, this agent, with all the insights and recommendations, through which then he has the insights and he can execute the trades with the trading system integration. So the trader is still under full control. He would use these agents to like quickly arrive at insights with this volatility which is happening, which might happen quite a lot. So many things changing, influencing the price of the market, energy generation, consumption. Having access to all this information, gathering insights, and coming up with a quick analysis is what the analysis agent is about. So there's always a human in loop. So the trader says still under full control. So we released Agent Bricks. So think we saw this. So Agent Bricks was released earlier this year, and you would see here like we have the agent here, and there are like, and the idea of Agent Bricks is a no code platform to build agents. So you could look at like information extraction, which could be useful, or maybe a knowledge assistant. So you could use a knowledge assistant to chat with the regulatory documents. So what you need to do is just drop the PDF files to a knowledge source, and you can start extracting insights. So you don't have to read the whole document, but you can use the knowledge assistant to get important insights from the document. So that's super helpful. We are using this one, multi-agent supervisor and Genie. So Genie is for structured data conversational AI. So I already have an agent which I'll show. So I created one like energy trading agent that you would see here. And in this case, you would see here, like when you create agents, you can actually have Genie spaces. So Genie is the conversational AI. You can use agent endpoint. So any custom agent that you might have built, or MCP. The support for MCP is coming soon. So that would allow you to like even integrate agents which are on external systems. So and they can still we can still orchestrate. So in this case, I created this Genie space. And if I can go back to the Genie space, yeah, so this is the space. So what you do is you kind of attach all the data sources. So in this case, I have consumption data, production, hourly. So I have access to all the data sources. Then the idea is to give it a persona, essentially like giving it instructions. So in this case, you would see here, the Genie actually has two roles here for market intelligence and prep. So it will take all these insights and come up with recommendations and doing the analysis for fund like supply and demand. So The idea is to have like use these no code agent builders to like come up quickly with high quality agents. Now, with the agent orchestration or the multi supervisor agent, you would have access to all the insights. And if I can go back here, you would have access to all the insights right from production to like market analysis and energy trading. You can now communicate with the agent in a natural language interface. So, yep, here. So in this case, you would see here, looks like I have a playground. So I'm just chatting with the agent and I ask it to like come up with like day ahead trades, telling me like if there is a shortfall or a surplus, like how much should I buy or sell, and come up with a strategy. So this agent essentially will talk to the genie, and you would see here history. Yeah. So the agent supervisor runs multiple queries, multiple insights, and you can see here like it gathers insights from genie spaces. It asks questions, it does the analysis of the data, and it comes up with recommendations, and basically then analyzing and giving an output, which is a recommendation beyond a simple Q&A. So you would see here like it's asking Q&A multiple times, getting all the insights, and then this is the recommendation it came up for the day ahead trading. And you can see here, beyond like just spitting out the output as a text or charts, it's giving you the entire analysis of how the forecast is looking like, how much the production is looking like, and demand. So you can see here like these are the insights. Like from 6 to 9 it expects a shortfall of 1.2 gigawatts, and then midday and evening. So it gives you the actual insights from the analysis, and this is all the information coming from the insights we have on the app. So if you see the app, for example, if you see here like around weather insights, market data, or energy production, right, influencing the shortfall of the energy or surplus, right? So it's getting you all the insights. Then it also does a price forecast analysis based on the market data and day ahead data. So it gives you the range of the electricity price, and then it comes up with trading recommendations. So for example, a morning block, it gives you these recommendations like the volume of how much to buy, the price range, and also like risk management. So this is again a behavior of a persona of an agent which you can control, govern, and with guardrails you can kind of decide how much information or how much analysis you want to do with it. The important part here is like this is not a black box. Like you would know how the agent is actually coming up with this analysis, which is super important, because one thing which you don't want is like an agent which is making up data, right? Hallucination, which is an important part. So this is a very important aspect. So if you look at like the hallucination part in general, uh, in the case of a multi-agent orchestrator or like a super agent, like talking to different sub-agents, each having its own task persona. So the supervisor agent essentially would kind of do the agent coordination, the top level part, right? Task delegation. So it would like take a task from the prompt, it would identify which is a sub-agent, and it will route the request to like different agents, and also like kind of passing the feedback from one agent to another. The second agent does the analysis, but the hallucination part, which is like most important, should be and has to be done at the agent level. So each of the sub agent should have some mechanism. So for example, I can tell you like in case of Genie, we have a lot of capabilities to reduce the hallucination, like instruction fine tuning, around feedback and reviews. We also have capabilities to like add suggested query synonyms. So all these are capabilities to reduce the hallucination and also allow you to monitor the quality. Because again, like I said, like the most important is you don't want your agents or the large language models to make up answers, like which is like, yeah, because financial trading, energy trading is a high risk activity, right? And again, so that's the Genie part. But then also if you're creating your own agent, say for example you are creating a RAG agent, which is like reading regulatory documents, PDF files, and you need to use this information with the Genie, which is a structured agent. So there are capabilities around LLM judges evaluation, feedback mechanisms to address the hallucination. And whichever way you build the agent, it really doesn't matter. With Databricks, you would have insights into, if I go back like here, for example, if I go to view trace, so you can see here, I have the exact sequence of events through different tools, different agents, and then basically telling you how it arrived at the response. So our approach at Databricks is like to have these systems as glass boxes, providing you deeper insights into the entire tool stack chain call, and then inform you like how they arrived. So it's easy for you to find out areas that need to be optimized, or wherein you need to address hallucination, or maybe you need to code or optimize the code, or use fine tuning of LLM. So you would have insights into like all these things. So maybe another example I can show you, like if you're doing the evaluation with Databricks, it also tells you like the recommendation of where the issues are when you build the agent. So it could be not having enough context, and then it also provides you a rationale or a recommendation to fix, like what kind of a possible fix can address the gaps in your agent. So having this insight on how the agent is actually arriving at a answer is one of the most important aspect when you build these agents for your market analysis for the energy trading. So this is, I would say, like important aspect. So that's agent bricks. And we just to let you know, so we have like two broad capabilities. So one is agent bricks, which I showed you, that's more like a no code agent builder, which is like you can have specific use cases like extracting information as a JSON from multiple documents, knowledge assistant, which is chatting with the PDF documents. And we also have the code your agent, which is like using the agent framework, wherein you can bring in additional, say, build your agent with an open source orchestration, say QAI or LangChain or all these. So we have got, I think, quite a broad support. So it doesn't matter how you build the agent. You use agent bricks or the Mosaic AI framework, you would have access to same insights into the traces, essentially, to ensure that the agent is not making up answers and it's not hallucinating. So that's an important part. So yeah, and that's most of it. And I think I just, maybe before I close, I wanted to summarize. So I think what we observe in the industry and what we see, how we see the industry is evolving, is the applications are becoming more and more automated. The AI, especially the Gen AI space and the AI agent space, is influencing these applications a lot. So they are more becoming intelligent and AI driven. That's one part of it, and I think that's the way industry is headed. There is also other part of it is which around AI simulation. So think of like as, while the agent is like, I think the automation is one way of looking at it, having simulation scenarios. For example, in certain situations where you don't have enough data, you can actually generate data with Gen AI and also simulate. So for example, simulating a market news event or simulating a weather event with like shortfall energy, right? So you can actually use simulations to come up with trading strategies for which you don't have data now, right? So that's another thing. I think we'll see more of it. I think you won't see much of it now, but simulation driven analysis and trading is another aspect. I think we'll see the industry evolving more of it in the future. So yeah, that's all for today. I think that's all I had. And think we have like 10 minutes. So I think, yeah, we are good for questions. So I think we can take the questions now. Right. Because you might need to open the audio. I think the microphone's right for that.
Yes, I think the colleagues Martin and Thomas already answered some of the questions which came in the Q&A chat. if anyone has additional questions, feel free to raise your hand, and then I will add you, allow you to talk basically.
Mhm. Okay.
Sal, there was also one question in the Q&A. Is this demo code available? I guess it's
Not
not, right?
Yeah, not yet, but I think we do plan to kind of have this available. So yeah, maybe I'll work on it actually. So I think it's like demo ready now, but I think I'll have it shareable in sometime sooner. But this is entirely based on Databricks apps. Like I think I built this on Dash, so which is an open source Python framework. So yeah, fairly easy. Maybe I can take another question. So I think there was for market, does user need to pay? So I think that's something you might have to decide, like the data landing, whether you have paid data or maybe uh, kind of having some free sources. That's something you decide. I can tell you one thing. So I think if you look at the Databricks, is my screen shared? No. Mm, my screen is not shared. So maybe, yeah. So if you go to the marketplace, Databricks marketplace, so I think we have some sources or some market related data now ready. So if I look at, if you, so you see this marketplace, and if you look, for example, Standard is an S&P Global Market Intelligence. So they are a Databricks customer, they are a Databricks partner. So they actually provide these data sources into the marketplace. So you don't have to kind of connect with them separately. So what you do, for example, if you need market readable filing, so you click on this, and this uses data sharing. So you can request access to this data. They would review your request. This is obviously paid data, so I think you'll have to work with them. But you see, like all this data is available to you on the marketplace. You request access to it, they review it, approve it, and then the data would be available to you in Unity Catalog, just like any other table. So there is this delta share received. So this is where you would see your market data. Another side I can tell, like for example, AccuWeather provides you historical weather data. They're also a database customer. So similar thing, you would kind of, yeah, this is AccuWeather data. So daily and hourly forecast. So we have partnerships with a lot of other customers. I think the recent one we announced was London Stock Exchange, I think.
And maybe to add to the S&P data, right? So if
Mm,
you are a CSM customer with S&P, you
mm,
have a CSM contract with them, you can use the data in Databricks like without any additional cost, right? So get in contact with your Databricks account team, and we
mm,
like bring you in contact with the S&P team to make this available also for no cost if you have an
mm,
existing CSM contract, for example.
mm, mhm. Yep.
Okay, Sal, I see we have also two hands raised. Actually, I think Mark was first, so I would Mark allow to talk now. Mark, you're on the panel now, so feel free to ask your question.
Do you need to unmute? Maybe I think I
Okay,
can't
and
hear him.
then maybe let's start with Jorge.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi.
Yes.
Hey, I say,
Mhm,
thank you for the nice presentation. Very nice agent bricks capabilities we can see.
mhm,
I wrote my question in the chat as well, but I wanted also to ask you directly. So let's say that we also would like to give a little bit of context to the agents of our internal data we have stored in the Unity catalog. because there, let's say we have some consumption of some sites or some different assets that we will put in the energy markets. What is the recommended way for us to give this metadata, to give the context of the internal database to the agent? So how
Okay.
would you suggest for us to do it?
Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So we announced this like last week. So one thing which we've done is like Lakebase, which is the transactional database, OLTP, which is open source Postgre, is can be used as a mechanism to store the state of the AI agents, right? So, and if you remember, so the idea is because Lakebase is low latency data serving, like under like 10 milliseconds, so it's manage all the state and the related information around assets and everything in Lakebase, which would be the recommendation for all the real-time insights that the agents have to depend on, right? Because the speed is critical here. So using Lakebase for state management, for additional insight context, even like say like for example, multi-step approach, right? You want to branch an agent into different exploration or different analysis. So all that state can be managed with Databricks. So I think that's what you should kind of look at for state management and additional insights, right?
Okay, so let's say we have a specific data model in our database. We also store that in that state from the lake base, and the agent will understand more or less where to
Yeah.
see or what information to use. Okay.
Yeah. So Lakebase would be a recommendation when you want to have like quick insights. But if you look at like the way like the agent space is evolving, uh, it's actually going to be like I think if I could go to this slide, right? This one. So in some cases, your context and additional information will low latency data will come from Lakebase, right? Some of the data, for example, for Genie, it's coming from Unity catalog, your Delta, or now even Iceberg format that we support, right? So it will depend on how the agent is built, what the context, but it will be a mix, I would say, in general, right? Using Delta and Iceberg tables with Lakebase for low latency serving, or even agents outside Databricks, right? So with the MCP, you don't have to have all the agents on Databricks, right? You could have an agent on some third-party platform connected using MCP and then orchestrate with the agent supervisor, right? So multiple approaches, let's say.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. We have 2 minutes left. Is there any other last question? Then please raise your hand. If there's no additional question, I think we can close the webinar. Thanks a lot, Sahil, for driving the webinar. I think it was super insightful, yeah, and also getting a glimpse on where we see kind of the energy trading world developing. If you have any kind of follow-up questions on the webinar, right? I mean, I think we discussed a lot of content today. Feel free to reach out to us, right, or to your account team. And we are happy to have a follow-up session, be it architectural review, being kind of architectural design session. And yeah, happy to collaborate more closely with all of you in the future. Sahil, any last words from your side?
No, I think, like I said, I think I showed a lot of stuff today, but I think it's all about, so before you build these complex system, I think it's getting the foundation right. So if you are kind of looking at building these systems, I would say like getting the data ingestion part ready, the data quality, these are the foundations for the AI system. So I think you should focus on that. And once you have the foundation layer ready, then you should look at these system automations with agents and all the analysis you can do in real time, right? So the data foundation is still the key part, right? The AI agents come next. So it's a stage approach. And I think that's depending on where the customers are, they would kind of should go with that approach.
Cool. And because the question came in now again, if the slides and the recording will be shared. So yes, we will share the slides. We will also share the recordings afterwards with our participants.
Yeah, we'll do
cool. Yeah. And with that, I think we can close the webinar. Thanks everyone for joining, and have a great week ahead.